My name is Jonathan Van Santen and I teach high school social studies at Yantai Huasheng International School in Yantai, China. Our school is part of a consortium of 7 other schools, 5 in China and 2 in the Middle East. 30 years ago, when our organization opened its first school in Tianjin, China, the world was a very different place, particularly in terms of digital communication, collaboration, particularly in China. Because of this, although we're part of the same organization, most of our schools have been set up quite differently and in isolation and relative to their context, which made a lot of sense at the time. But fast forward to a couple of years ago, our organization decided to leverage technology to integrate our practices, procedures, and curriculum. In the high school social studies, we are working on integrating and have agreed on an overall program structure. The stage of integration that we're now in requires actually building out and developing this integrated program. Things like unit and course plans, scopes and sequences, assessments, etc. And doing all this while collaborating across 5 schools and without Google. This is where we've run into a problem. We do not have an adequate technology to manage our district level curriculum integration. We need a technology that allows us to do 3 things. Number 1, collaborate easily and with an ability to differentiate permissions. The second thing we need is to be able to document and to store our edits and changes to curriculum documents. And the third and most important thing we need is to easily transfer all of that curriculum structure into the everyday teaching experience of our teachers. We have a Google Drive, but this is not very organized and very challenging to use in China without a VPN. Nothing in China plays well with Google, as you might know. Our company has set up a Microsoft SharePoint file sharing site to deal with this Google problem, but this is even more removed from the everyday teaching experience. It's out of sight, out of mind, and it's an extremely clunky program. Our organization is working on integrating a district-wide learning management system, or LMS, next fall, 2020. I know, it would have been very helpful if we had done that in 2019 before this whole COVID-19 forced all of us to go online. But this got me thinking, could we somehow use an LMS as the tool to manage our district-level curriculum integration? It would need to meet our 3 needs of easy collaboration, be able to document and store edits, and to easily transfer to the everyday experience of our teachers. So as part of this project, I sent an email at the end of March to our district superintendent asking for permission to play around in our new integrated LMS. I was a little nervous. Here I was asking for the keys to the kingdom of a brand new tech platform without much technical experience doing that kind of thing. Thankfully, she loved the idea and gave me permission and access to a sandbox account in Canvas, which was the platform we chose, and a couple of training courses and videos. So that's where I spent a good deal of my work at first, figuring out how to use the basic functions of Canvas before I could think about it from a district level and the tools we needed it for. I would need to know how to use the program first. So I spent many hours watching training videos and I completed a Growing with Canvas tutorial course. The next thing I did is I had a Zoom call with our district director of student learning, who is heading up the design of the actual courses in Canvas. This was super helpful and she shared with me some of the ways that our district is already planning to embed support into Canvas courses already, so that teachers aren't simply given a blank course and told, go therefore and make thy course. Good luck. So she agreed to let me have access to something called a blueprint design for a social studies course to play around with and explore whether or not it would meet our curriculum needs and what I wanted to do. The thing I did not want to do is to simply add another course or layer or something on top of what our teachers need to do, but to modify our experience of designing curriculum and building courses as a district. And so there are 2 main things that I was able to do in Canvas that I think will help us do this. The first is a course overview. In my conversation with our Director of Student Learning, I found out that Canvas allows us to lock certain elements of a blueprint course, or a course that can be shared across too many different teachers. And then these locked elements they stay in place, and they're essential to our problem solving because we can create information pages or other things and then lock them as part of that course, and then it will be distributed to all of the teachers. So one of these locked elements I made is a course overview page. And this replaces 3 previous documents that we had buried somewhere in the hinterlands of SharePoint. Number 1, a course description with textbook requirements, prerequisites, etc. A scope and sequence of our units, and our Arrow standards alignment. Every one of our courses will have one of these pages. It can be edited for those who have granted permissions and when we are in the process of editing those things. And then when it's finished, can be locked and shared on Canvas to all of our schools. The second piece is a unit overview. So embedded in the course overview are links to unit overview pages, which serve the same purpose, but this time at a unit level. They're essentially like a unit plan or a UBD plan, both of which we had as files, again, shared between Google and SharePoint and all over the place. So these are not quite as detailed as Word document pages, but they're super helpful because they take the key elements of those UBD plans and they make them visible and accessible in the everyday experience of our teachers. Particularly new teachers coming into our system will be able to access their courses on Canvas, and they'll right away have access then to the overall curriculum structure across the district for these courses. So these 2 artifacts, course overview and unit overview pages, locked in a blueprint course, are the most significant pieces of my innovation project so far. But as I continue to play around with Canvas, I'm realizing there's a whole realm of possibilities for us to integrate and collaborate more effectively. So this project will continue into the future. We do actually need to build out course overview and unit overview pages for 8 social studies courses. But we can do so now with a technology tool that might be at least a little and probably a lot more helpful.